have a quorum in here yet, but we looking to have a quorum very, very soon. And being that we don't have a quorum, we're going to see if the chaplain is available. Chaplain who? Who is the chaplain?
Commander Sherry Loman.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You may proceed.
Okay. Dear most gracious Father God, we thank you, Father God, for this day. We thank you, Father God, for bringing us together just one more day, oh God. And we just ask you, Father God, to be in this meeting, oh God. We ask you to guide us in this meeting, oh God. And everything that is needed for this meeting, oh God, that you will supply it, oh God, in decent and in order, oh God. Whatever information is needed, oh God, we thank you, Father God, that you will bless it. And we give you all the praise and honor and glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. It appears that we do have a quorum now, and so we will go to the introduction of commissioners.
Chairperson Wood.
Present.
Commissioner Bernard says she'll be a little late.
Someone is derelict in their duties and walking out, and so we have lost the quorum, but we are expecting another commissioner to be here. It's very, very unfortunate, again, that a commissioner will treat the citizens of the city of Detroit in this manner, and we are expected to have a quorum very, very soon. Having said that, we will, what is public comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, you can go to public comment.
All right, we'll start public comment, and we're expecting a quorum very soon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. We have two speakers. One speaker here in the room, Ms. Sharnia Williams, and then we'll go into Zoom, Election Integrity Rule.
You may be heard.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today to discuss me going to file police reports, and I have like over 35 police reports at the 2nd precinct, and I just want to know why I have no one at that precinct did their job correctly and reached out to me concerning my issues that I have. Every time I leave out the facility at 12900 West Chicago, I have to be concerned about my life every day, and that's not acceptable, especially when police officers are behind me being, people are stalking me like they are. When I leave out that facility, like I said, shouldn't nobody know when I'm coming and going. I have to be concerned about my life every day. People that just got released from prison, halfway house, all type of nuts. I'm unable to carry my weapons legally because I'm in that facility, but at the end of the day, I shouldn't have to worry about my life every day. That's a huge issue. So like I said, I have over 30-some complaints, and I'm looking over you at Chief Warfield. And it's unfortunate when I go into the police department that when I get back to that facility, the officers that's in that facility, they are fully aware of what my reports I make. And how is that possible? It's just not acceptable. When somebody are in a position to do their job and do not do their job correctly, it's an issue with that and don't respect their oath. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now have a quorum, and let's go continue with the introduction of BOPC staff. Commissioners.
Chairperson Wood.
Present.
Commissioner Banks asks for an excused absent. Commissioner Bernard says she'll be here shortly. Commissioner Bell.
Present, District 4.
Commissioner Burton.
Present, District 5.
Commissioner Card asks for an excused absent. Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Present.
Commissioner DeWalsh.
Present.
And Commissioner Presley.
Here.
Thank you very much. We move for the approval of the August 15th, 2024 agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Burton, supported by
Hernandez.
Commissioner Moore. All in favor say aye.
To the chair, like,
Or Hernandez? Okay, excuse me. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose?
I'd like to amend the agenda. I'd like to move the executive appointment to the rank of commander and captains to new business, so the board can be able to get its business done and then go to the promotions component.
Anyone second that? There's no second to that, so the agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez,
Support.
supported by Commissioner DeWash. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Introduction of BOPC staff, Chief of Police, and other officials and representatives.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, currently we have with us Chief Investigator Warfield, Parliamentary Dr. Francis Jackson, Ms. Johnny Underwood, Ms. Teresa Blossom, Ms. Artemisia Joshua, Ms. Mary Barber, Mr. Drew Freeze, Acting Supervising Guest Investigator Elgin Murphy, ASL Interpreter Ms. Shikata and Dr. Stephanie Beatty. Our court reporter is Mr. Don Handyside. Sergeant Quinn is doing our audio, and Media Services is doing our video. Sitting in, Chief James White himself, elected officials, Ms. Marie Overall from State Representative Tyrone Carter's office, Ms. Frida Butler, 2nd Precinct Community Relations President, Ms. LaDon Davis, Officer Council Member Fred Duhar III, Lieutenant Mark Young, LSA President, Mr. Ron Thomas, DPOA Vice President, and former Commissioner William Davis.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Smith is present. We're going to go to the Chief of Police report.
All right, good afternoon, honorable body.
Good afternoon.
Start with the crime. We continue to move in the right direction. Our strategy is working. As I say often, we don't celebrate numbers, but we do have to have a basis for which we do our work and to see if what we're doing is in fact working. Coming off of historical crime reduction numbers last year, lowest since 1966, we knew that we would have some challenges this year, but the men and women of the Detroit Police Department continue to work very hard for the city. And as a result, we are looking at a 16% reduction in homicides this year. Last year, again, coming in historic low numbers with 166 at this time last year. We were looking at 139, and still 139 too many, but certainly lower than we've quite frankly ever seen, at least in my career. And I've talked to some folks that have a significant, much more time than I do, that have said the same thing. Non-fatal shootings, 23% reduction. Robberies are a 26% reduction, and our total Part 1 violent crime is 11%, and carjacking continues in the right direction. They're working very hard. We're looking at a 39% reduction in carjackings. And to put that into some context, you know, I'm sure this board remembers a time when there was a carjacking a day in Detroit. As of today's date, year-to-date numbers, 66 carjackings in our city in late August of 24, or mid-August in 24. That's incredible. When we look at our sexual assaults, we see a 16% reduction. Our aggravated assaults, we see an 8% reduction. We look at those proactive crimes where the officers have to be engaged to reduce, and those are your burglaries, which requires proactive patrol. We're seeing a 2% reduction in those. And that's significant because you look at pre-COVID numbers, when we saw that significant dip during COVID, because people were home, their homes weren't being broken into. So we have to look back a couple years, 3 years, to see what the numbers look like. And these numbers are quite robust, looking at a 2% reduction in robberies and burglaries. I'm sorry, strike that, 25% reduction in robberies and a 2% reduction and burglaries. Our motor vehicle theft, moving in the right direction as well, 4% reduction. And then we look at our total property crimes at 8.2% reduction. So a lot of hard work by the men and women of the Detroit Police Department, and those numbers are moving in the right direction. I'd like to highlight just a couple of incidents before we get into some recommendations to this body. A death investigation on August 7th at 12 p.m. Officers were dispatched to the 15,000 block of Liberal to investigate a dead body observed in that area. Officers arrived at the scene and observed the victim suffering from a wound to the head. Medic 13 responded to the scene and unfortunately pronounced the victim deceased. Officers from the 9th Precinct preserved the scene, and the detectives from the homicide section were notified. Homicide detectives arrived, conducted a preliminary investigation. A witness stated that they came to the location to check the property and found the victim there unresponsive and suffering from the wounds I've indicated. The incident is still under investigation, and the detectives have put out information asking anyone for information to let us know. Carjacking is the second incident, Thursday, August 8th. 11:35 p.m. Officers were dispatched to 3900 block of Wabash to investigate a carjacking. Officers arrived on the scene and spoke with the victim, who stated that she pulled into her driveway of the location to park the vehicle in the garage. As the victim exited the vehicle, the suspect approached the vehicle and said, "Get out of the car." The victim ran into her home, and the suspect drove away. Officers from the 3rd Precinct preserved the scene, and detectives from the Commercial Auto Theft Unit were notified. On August 9th, officers from the 3rd Precinct and detectives from Commercial Auto Theft discovered the stolen vehicle in the area of Ash and Trumbull unoccupied. Officers conducted surveillance on the vehicle, eventually observing the suspect enter the vehicle and drive away. Officers followed the vehicle to the area of Stahelan and Paul, at which point the suspect exited the vehicle as the officers approached the suspect to make an arrest. The suspect began to run from the officers. After a brief foot chase, the suspect was arrested without further incident. On August 10th, detectives from CAT submitted the warrant to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for review. The warrant was approved. The suspect was arraigned in 36th District Court for stolen property, receiving concealing motor vehicle, and the suspect is being held in Wayne County Jail on a $200,000 bond. There was a fatal shooting on August 9th at 4:39 p.m. Officers were dispatched to the 3700 block of Burlingame to investigate a fatal shooting. Arrived on the scene, observed the victim being treated by Medic 13. Victim was suffering from a gunshot wound to the chest, transported to the local hospital where the victim was unfortunately pronounced dead. Officers from the 10th Precinct once again held the scene. Homicide came out. Detectives spoke with witnesses who stated that they observed the victim arguing with a suspect prior to being shot. They described the suspect and what he was wearing in the vehicle he was driving. Detectives are asking once again anyone with information to provide us with information. Crime Stoppers will be doing a presentation on that soon. Also, and I don't have the information here, I do apologize, but I'm sure the body recognized that there was a young child reported as kidnapped over the weekend. That report was false. We were able to recover the child and charge the parent with filing a false police report. I can provide the board with details on that, but it was a false claim. And then there was a second incident involving a missing child. This particular child has wandered away from the home, I believe, 4 times now. So we're getting Child Protective Service involved in that, and our Child Abuse Unit is looking into that case as well. Most recently, 6th Precinct hosted a cookout. These are the positive stories at St. Suzanne Cody Rouge Community Resource Center, and families came out and enjoyed interacting with the police. Our Explorers Camp Academy graduation occurred on yesterday, right here in the Schuyler Room. We had a coffee and cake as well for police officer Nathaniel Womack. I'm sorry, strike that. Nathaniel Womack's coffee and cake will be Friday after serving the department for 25 years. So that'll be tomorrow. Everybody knows that Nathaniel Womack is an NPO, very hardworking NPO. Sorry to lose him, but 25 years of this work, it's time for him to enjoy doing something else. And that's from 12 to 3, and it'll be here in this room. If it pleases the board, and if there's no questions, I can move on to the recommendations, or I can pause here for questions.
Any questions, commissioners? Commissioner Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, last Saturday, I believe it was a illegal block party, and there was a discharge of a firearm by an officer. Can you give us some details on that?
I can. In fact, if A.C. Fitzgerald, who was sitting in for me, I was at Noble last Saturday, can provide some updated details.
Yes, through the board, Assistant Chief Charles Fitzgerald. Gathering 50, 60 people, lots of alcohol. When the first unit arrived, they saw a young man with a bulge on the side of his pocket, the side of his hip. They went to investigate him. Family members joined in, mixed with a lot of alcohol. The officer had his weapon out, had it in a low ready position. As he went to holster it, one of the young men in the group hit him in his mouth. Hit him repeatedly, and that's when, as he started to put it back toward his holster, is when it discharged.
Hit the officer in the mouth?
Yep. Yeah, so the officers are out there breaking up this block party, mixed with beer muscles and all the rest of that stuff. They struck the officer. The discharge did happen. No one was injured. Force came out. Homicide task force came out. We went through all of our normal steps, but no one was hurt or injured. There were 4 arrests made immediately, and then 2 others were detained during this incident.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yep. Any more questions? Commissioner Presley?
Thank you, through the chair. Chief, my question is regarding some of the citizen complaint reports that I'm reading, and maybe hoping that you might be able to provide some information to the public relative to the expectation of communication from detectives. So there's a number of cases where citizens are saying they're not being reached out to for updates on their cases, or haven't heard from detectives in a while after the case. What is the department's expectation relative to detectives reaching out to citizens who have pending cases?
Through the chair, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that this was actually brought to my attention once before by Commissioner Moore very recently in the past couple of months. So this is a issue of concern that has been brought up. And one of the conversations around it has been candidly that because officers are working details, well, we've always worked details in the Detroit Police Department, and the expectation is that we still meet our responsibilities of making contact with our complainants. So we have a couple things going on right now. One is an audit to ensure that we have a process in place at every level to contact people who are victims of crime. The most urgent being homicide, of course, and there's some issues around that, and I think we can do a better job there. And we need to explain to people when they're going to be contacted. It's not, we need to have some recorded cadence where we can say by policy, this is what we're going to do. And I'd like to work with this body to develop that policy. We have Deputy Chief Sloan, who's over investigations and can handle that process with us. She's got a process in place already. We talked about this afternoon improving it. But going back to your initial question, it's not just the homicides. It's all cases that we're hearing that on. The requirement to your question is that you make contact with your complainants, that you give them an opportunity to come in and make an investigation, and maybe they can't. Maybe they can't find their way to the precinct for a variety of reasons. Then we would accommodate them, but that's why we give them cars to go out to the house and take complaints and things such as that. So to say that it's working flawlessly and to make an excuse would be improper. It's not working. I'm hearing it too much, so obviously there's a problem. But my commitment is to build a process that makes sense, present it to the board, not in a long time, I mean in the next few weeks, and see how we can make some improvements. But if you have a specific area or a specific precinct or complaint, let me know where I can get engaged in that one right away, and as we build out the process long term.
Well, that's helpful, and I'm sure that I speak on behalf of my colleagues to say that we welcome being able to help shape that policy. I think a lot of it would be mitigated if there was an understanding of the communication expectation for citizens. And then obviously some of the cases are very close and passionate to the individual, and so I can just imagine that, you know, there'll be very little that will satisfy by way of communication. But as long as there's a policy in place, I think that helps this board hold the department accountable in how citizens are being communicated to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and let the record reflect that the 4 people that came to the Board of Police Commission on last week who had those complaints, they all have been contacted. We worked expeditiously with the department to be able to make sure that they got the responses that they needed, you know, and we'll continue to navigate that until we get this all the way together. So I appreciate the department responding expeditiously to those families from last week. So we can say that that was done. Yes, sir. Commissioner Burton.
Questions for the chief. Our community want to know how many officers do your department currently has right now?
I'm sorry, have what?
How many officers do your department has currently?
I believe we were at 2647. I looked at it this morning, but I don't know if I conflated those numbers. I believe it's 2,647, but if I may, through the chair, ask that the HR director confirm those numbers for me.
Absolutely.
All right.
And also, where are we at right now when it comes to police response times?
Response times through the chair are averaging under 13 minutes. We have some precincts as low as 9 minutes. We have some precincts that fell outside of the 13. We looked at that today in our ComStat, but our average, in fact, I have the actual average right now. Uh, 12 minutes and 14 seconds on average citywide for response time, priority one.
And Chief, my final question is, just recently, a few weeks back, it appeared that Detroit had experienced its worst mass shooting. And we want to know, the community wants to know why police did not respond sooner and what went wrong where officers, took too long to show up.
Through the chair, I would push back on
Over an hour.
No, they didn't take over an hour. That's factually incorrect.
But what time did the first call came in?
The first call that came in, the officers responded, I believe, within 8 minutes. Let's start with what went wrong.
So it took 8 minutes.
Let him answer, Commissioner.
No, for point of order.
Commissioner.
Point of order. I'm still raising a question here. So for clarity, from the first time, we don't know, Chief, what time the first call came in. And that's what we would like to know. What time did the first call came in? When did officers were dispatched and when did they arrive? I guess that's the communication, the miscommunication there. And hearing from the community, it took forever for the police to show.
That's not true.
You had over 20-some people that were shot.
Commissioner, let him answer the
And
question.
I think a few.
Okay, let's start off with the question, and then I'll answer it, and then you can add another question so I can keep up with your concerns. Through the chair, I think it's important that we articulate properly to the community.
Yes, sir.
So the first question was what went wrong. What went wrong was that someone made a decision to shoot 21 people. That's what went wrong. What went wrong is that someone decided to resolve a dispute regardless of who was at risk, and shoot 21 people. And I share your concern, Commissioner, that is an intolerable circumstance. And as part of that, we're doing an investigation to ensure that we did everything we could have done and that we hold the persons accountable who did it, who engaged in that heinous act of shooting 21 people, and could have been worse. 2 people died in that incident, and we looked at every aspect of it, and there is an active investigation right now with homicide as it relates to the shooting, as well as to the homicide. So 2 different things. Homicide's doing both the shooting and the homicide together. We're also looking at our response. The fact that you stated that we responded an hour after the initial call is factually incorrect. We responded within 8 minutes. There was a decision made by a supervisor that we are evaluating, and that decision involved him going to another run, which was a few blocks away, where shots were fired. The first call was 1:31 that came in, 01:31, 1 a.m., 1:31 a.m. The supervisor responds to that run, then goes to another run where shots are fired. Now, preliminarily, and the investigation is active, the decision to leave the one run for being loud and disruptive, no shots fired, and go to the other run where shots were fired was his decision. At 1:39, the call comes back in, now shots fired. And that's what we're looking at. And I have been transparent with this board. There is no reason for me to, in any regard, decide that if the officer or supervisor made a poor decision, not to hold them accountable for it. But what I'm looking at is if the decision is a poor decision or if the decision is an improper decision. A poor decision we have to deal with. Maybe we wouldn't have done it if given the same opportunity and the same circumstances. But an improper decision that suggests a dereliction in duty is one that I'm going to get highly engaged in. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. And I want to say that you have been open and candid to this board about that. And it's irresponsible to say 1 hour. You know, that is very irresponsible and not factually sound, even with many of the media reports. So we need to be very, very accurate when we put information out to the public. Commissioner Smith and then Hernandez, and we will move on. And let the record reflect.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the parliamentarian. If I could, please, sir.
Yes.
I would like to remind the commissioners that when you raise a point of order says there is a rule that has been broken, and you have to state what rule has been broken. A point of order is not used if you want to disagree or if you have a different opinion. You have to say what rule has been broken, and then the chair will rule on whether or not your point of order is well taken or not. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Bernard is here, Commissioner Smith, then Commissioner Hernandez, then Chief, you can do your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair. Good afternoon, Chief. I'm speaking today in regards to the missing Naziah Harris. The past few days, there's been a lot of vicious rumors, a lot of vicious residents, and just overall a lot of rumors that are flying in the community in regards to her disappearance and her being missing. Her father passed away a couple weeks ago. His funeral was a couple Saturdays ago. And if you can just update the community of any formal information that will only come through the Detroit Police Department and not any rumors that are floating through the street, please.
Yes, Commissioner, and thanks for bringing that up. Naziah Harris case is one that not only keeps us up thinking about, but the homicide team, our special victims unit, our missing persons group, they have been working this case like you would not believe. We are prepared very soon to make an announcement on this case. We certainly have looked at every aspect. I have to be careful because we are working with the prosecutor's office right now. We have looked at every piece of evidence that has come our way, every tip. We've done a number of searches. And sadly, what I can tell you is that it's not going to be the desired outcome that any of us want. And I have to stop there, as Madam Prosecutor will probably start ringing my phone here in a minute. But there's a lot to do, and we're getting close. But it's a very tragic and sad case that has made all of us very, very sad. So I have a whole lot more to say and answer the questions very, very soon. Okay. But the case is moving. It's not cold. We have purposely not jumped in front of cameras to talk about it because we didn't know if any witnesses were going to turn into suspects. We are very confident on the track that we're on right now. We do know that some people may have intentionally misled us and sent us on wild goose chases, to be honest with you. But we are very confident. The investigators have done an amazing job. I could not be more proud of them. I can tell you that they're emotionally connected to this case. I get briefed on it weekly. And as you will soon see and hear, they did everything that they could to bring this baby home and chase everything down that we could.
Thank you, Chief, because right now, as we speak, they're out searching. You know, I just want the community to know that you all have not given up. But thank you so much.
And you know, I need to say this, you know, oftentimes, like we just made an arrest on a Dr. Hoover case. And you have to understand, that's a high-profile case, right? And then Ms. Wool's case. And I think a lot of times the misconception is that we just stop or that everybody's just doing that. That's not it at all. The homicide team is broken down into squads. You've got people. I can take you to a desk in homicide right now where Nazia's picture is on this investigator's desk, and she is studying that picture and everything else and chases every lead, goes to all over this state, running down evidence and information and phones and you name it. But because of the high profile nature of some of those cases, people feel like we're not. We are, and we will be ready to say something very soon.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Commissioner Hernandez.
I'll rescind.
Okay, thank you. Chief.
All right, thank you. Moving on to a recommendation for appointment. I'd like to start with thanking the board. I sent these up 3 weeks ago. A lot of questions came in, a lot of evaluation. I know it was a lot of data to look at. I am hopeful that the board finds, as I do, that these are the right people to lead this department at the right time. I will start with Captain McCord. She was appointed to the Detroit Police Department on September 26, 2007. After completing the Detroit Metropolitan Police Academy, Officer McCord was assigned to Eastern District Patrol Operations. During her time as an officer, she was also assigned to the 10th Precinct Professional Education and Training. On August 1st, 2016, Police Officer McCord was promoted to the rank of Sergeant and assigned to Internal Affairs. In addition to serving as a supervisor in the Police Integrity Unit, Sergeant McCord was responsible for investigating allegations of misconduct and abuse of authority within the department. Sergeant McCord was also assigned to the Police Recruiting Unit, tasked with overseeing police recruitment and hiring and enforcing department policies and procedures. On December 12th, 2021, Sergeant McCord was promoted to the rank by this body of lieutenant. Was assigned to the 10th Precinct Detective Unit. Lieutenant McCord was also assigned to the Risk Management Unit, which involves identifying and assessing and mitigating potential risk and officer misconduct that adversely affects the department's operations. On September 26, 2022, Lieutenant McCord was promoted to the rank of captain by myself with the approval of this body. Her responsibilities included overseeing investigations at homicide, coordinating with detectives, and ensuring thorough examination of all cases. She also collaborates with other law enforcement agencies and provides leadership to her team. And just an additional point, some of the work that she's been tasked with, some of the responsibilities of reaching out to families and communicating and coordinating, I've watched her growth. I've watched her commitment to the city. I've watched her commitment to the overall health of this agency, which is why this recommendation is being made. I am confident that she will continue to lead with distinction as she takes on her new role. As far as education is concerned, Captain McCord holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Ferris State University, a master's of business administration from Cleary University, and she's a graduate of the Mike Ilitch School of Business, as well as myself. I'd say that for a reason. You're going to hear that theme a lot here in a few minutes. Captain McCord served in the United States Army, and her military service instilled in her a strong sense of discipline, leadership, and resilience. Very proud of her. Young time on the department in 2007, has gone through the ranks quite swiftly, like I did myself, but it is no question that she's ready to lead. Proudly make that recommendation.
Absolutely. What is the pleasure of the board?
So I move her appointment.
Second.
And congratulations.
Support.
Yeah.
And if I may.
We would do that discussion. Okay, let me.
I want to say something.
Motion made by Commissioner Bernard and second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor? Or any discussion?
Yes.
Or all in favor?
Aye.
Discussion first. Y'all, any discussion?
Just quickly, I just want to congratulate you, as did the chief and as did the chair, on your many, many accomplishments. I have tremendous respect and regard for people who have served our country honorably, particularly in a leadership position. The reason I was late today was because I was visiting my uncle, who's 92 and served 25 years in the military in Vietnam and Korea. I take off my hat, my everything. I give you your flowers while you can hear them and see them today for your very, very distinguished career and your leadership. and I thank you for your leadership and everything you've done for our country. And as a military person, you did it for our whole world. So thank you very much, and thank you for what you're doing with DPD.
Thank you, ma'am.
To the chair,
Yes.
I just want
Mr. Chairman, you have to say that the motion's been carried.
We haven't carried it yet. It's still discussion. Okay, the motion is made by Commissioner Bernard and supported by Commissioner Moore.
Yeah, and then you went into the vote, I believe, Mr. Chairman, if I'm not mistaken.
no.
If I'm mistaken, I apologize.
Yeah,
I thought you went into the votes and asked for those opposed.
No,
Which meant the debate was over.
No,
Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong.
that's why she should be here.
Apologize, sir.
It will keep me together. Commissioner Burton.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's why it's important for the parliamentarian to really be present in these meetings physically in person. But
It has to be germane. Come on.
overall, I just wanted to say congratulations to Captain McCord for a great job she does with our community, but also with the department. I actually can see her, one day being, deputy chief, if not the chief of police of the city of Detroit or somewhere else. I mean, her leadership skills is definitely, very high. And I remember when the board approved her most previous promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely see her, going a lot further than captain and commander. And I could see her one day perhaps being the deputy chief of this department, if not the chief of police, someday.
Okay, any further discussion? I would say that I would absolutely share the sentiments. I was in your office about 3 hours 2 days ago, and you helped navigate so many of these issues for these families, and a number of the numerous family members have connected with you. You have come to numerous meetings, and so you are a bona fide leader. And so having said that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like to have some comments?
Yeah, so first I'd like to thank Chief White for his belief in me and trust in me to promote me. I have seen growth in myself that I didn't even know I had. And being a homicide, I've learned so many things and helped so many people, and I hope to help even more. So thank you for your kind words, and thank you for your vote.
Absolutely. All right. Commissioner Burton.
I just want to add real briefly and quick is that, Chief White has made some really great appointments over the years. This happens to be one great promotion that we all approve. And so, he definitely understands leadership, and he understands where he may be, have a shortness within the department, but he's filling those gaps. And I love this appointment, and I love a few other good appointments that has been made by the chief and approved by my colleagues. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chief.
Thank you. I wish I had Captain McCord every time I meet with you, sir.
It is recorded.
All right. And to the commissioner's question earlier, we currently have 2,616 police officers.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. The next is Lieutenant Star Gonzalez. Lieutenant Star Gonzalez was appointed to the Detroit Police Department on September 26, 2007. Police Officer Gonzalez was assigned to the Southwest District Patrol Operations after completing the Detroit Police Academy. During her tenure, she also worked Patrol Operations 10th Precinct. In addition to Patrol Operations, Officer Gonzalez was assigned to Vice Detective Bureau, Fiscal Operations, and Training Staff. On August 1st, 2016, Police Officer Gonzalez was promoted to the rank of Sergeant and assigned to field recruiting. In her role as Sergeant, she was responsible for overseeing recruitment, new officers, and ensuring that the department met its staffing needs. On December 21st, 2020, Sergeant Gonzalez was promoted to Lieutenant. In addition to being promoted, Lieutenant Star Gonzalez serves as supervisor of the training staff unit. So she's promoted to lieutenant, and then she went to the training staff. She's done numerous stints in patrol, Hill, most recently the 11th Precinct. Her current role as Chief Neighborhood Liaison, and her job is a unique one. She's responsible for everything from meeting with our community to ensuring that there's a bridge between my office and the community, keeping me informed on what's trending in the community, some of the concerns that come up, some of our ambassadors and some of the issues that they have, the positioning of the department and the perception of the department from a ground level. It's one thing to be told what the department is viewed like. It's a different thing to be told what the department is viewed like from people in the field. The position was instrumental in handling and dealing with the community perception and cooperation, and that role was Chief Neighborhood Liaison for the department. She's a graduate of University of Phoenix, holds a bachelor's in criminal justice. She's a graduate from the Mike Gillis School of Business with a certificate in business and a master's from Cleary University. Lieutenant Gonzalez was in the United States Air Force. Her military experience has honed her relationship and leadership with the department. She is a leader. Everyone who knows her likes her, and if they don't, there's something wrong with them. She works very hard. She tries to outwork me. She cannot. That's the only thing she's working to do. But she's everything from bike train to mental health train, loves and cares about this community, and does a really, really good job for us. It's with pride I make the recommendation for her as captain.
With its pleasure to this board.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez and second by Commissioner DeWash. Any discussion? Commissioner Hernandez.
Through the chair, any insight you might share as to her next responsibility? Because I know she's been extremely valuable in her current role. I mean, if you're not able to share now, I completely understand.
I'm working through that with AC Fitzgerald. It will be patrol. We're working through some things right now.
Any other further discussion?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, you were first, Eva.
Thank you. Yes, I had the pleasure, thank you, Mr. Chair. I had the pleasure of working with, at that time it was Sergeant, I believe, Gonzalez. Such passion and commitment. She was working in recruiting, and Commissioner Brooks and I were co-chairs of the recruitment committee for the board, and we met with her often. She not only was very, very active in Southwest Detroit, which is the community that I work in and where I'm from, but and everyone knows her there. I just saw her last night. I didn't get a chance to talk to you because she was surrounded, by people. But during that time, 4 or 5 years when I was on the commission before my last term, we worked closely, almost weekly or biweekly. We had meetings with her, and she was just so passionate about recruitment. So I know that she's that way with all of her assignments and duties. So congratulations.
Absolutely. Commissioner.
I just want to say thank you again, not only for your service to the department, but also your service to our country. It means a great deal to me, and I'm sure to most people in this room. Thank you, and congratulations.
Yep. Commissioner.
I just want to say congratulations. You do so much work. You're everywhere I am, and we do a lot in the community, and I see you everywhere. Your spirit is always high. You're always friendly and outgoing and greeting everyone with hugs, and I just appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I have a procedural question relative to whether or not we'll be handling these individually or as a bundle, the promotions from lieutenant to captain.
We can do those as a bundle and individualized with the sergeants.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. I would say that she thinks she's my mother. I was just at Alternative for Girls with her, with a group of young children who did not know that these were all police officers, and some of them just said they didn't like the police. And she took it, and she has took it hundreds of times that we have put these events together. And so the years I've known her working with AC or DC Hope and all of the team has been phenomenal. This lady has been stellar in this community to be able to try to work with people who don't like the police and see what she could do to help them. And I know that we did a baby shower over at Alternative for Girls, and it was phenomenal. And so I appreciate your leadership, and absolutely agree with this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Everything is done?
Through the chair, chief, and the executive team, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and seeing the abilities that I have to move forward in a higher role. And I believe as I move up, I could connect more with people that I need to connect with. Everybody knows the community is my heart. So no matter where you place me, they're going to become my community. And I'm going to lead them and guide them the same way you do with us. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, Chief, if you heard Commissioner Presley, we can bundle all of them up, all the way up to far as the lieutenants and
Through the chair.
I just asked to be clear about the motion. That you're the chair, so it's to your discretion.
Yeah, I would say bundle it. Yes, sir.
Through the chair, I like to move that we do each and every last one of them individually instead of the bundle.
Any support of that? There's no support with that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, when you have a motion to bundle like this, any individual can, without a motion or a second, pull names from the bundle. So the motion would be to approve the promotions of each of the individuals. But if there is an objection, then anyone without a motion or a second can pull individual names. Or they can unbundle the whole thing.
Okay, keep on rolling.
All right, so if it pleases the chair, then I will continue with the individualization of the captains and commanders because of the importance of that role.
Yes, sir.
The sergeants and lieutenants, equally important but different.
Yeah.
I will bundle those, and you can pull out who you want.
Don't bundle the sergeants.
Okay, do not bundle the sergeants.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Moving on to recommendation for Lieutenant Sean Dunning. Lieutenant Sean Dunning was appointed to the Detroit Police Department October 6, 2008. Police Officer Dunning was assigned to 6th Precinct Patrol Operations after completing the Detroit Police Training Academy. Officer Dunning was assigned to Patrol, then Special Operations. Obviously, for that responsibility involves handling high-risk situations with specialized operations. On November 25th, 2013, Police Officer Dunning was promoted to the rank of detective and assigned to Investigative Operations 8th Precinct Detective Unit. During that time, he did felony investigations, interviews, major crimes, including murder, home invasion, and carjacking robberies. He also worked at organized crime, and I don't think this is correct unless he worked at narcotics, and I missed that at my briefing. Did you work at narcotics? All right, that's not correct. I didn't think so. All right. His deep understanding of criminal behavior and patterns was crucial for solving complex cases. He also assisted in high-profile case investigations by interviewing witnesses and interrogating suspects. On December 19, 2016, Detective Dunning was promoted to the rank of sergeant and assigned to the 8th Precinct Special Ops. He was over ceasefire. Under supervision, the ceasefire unit saw a significant reduction in crime gun violence within that precinct. Additionally, Sergeant Dunning led the commercial auto theft unit where they successfully reduced false carjackings within the city of Detroit by using innovative technology and really following the data and interviewing those who were making the complaints. The other thing that should be noted is not here, his commitment to community. Commitment to community. He started a program called Brotherhood along with Captain Thurkill. That has since become Brotherhood and Sisterhood. It came out of the 9th Precinct on his own time, with his own money, took some high-risk kids, and it continues to this day, brought them into an environment where they can play basketball, talk about the issues that's going on in the community in a non-threatening way. He connected with them. They connected with him. We were able to reduce gang violence, reduce gun violence amongst that group. That spread, and it's now touching over 200 kids in our community. It's so successful that it's been adopted now by the Wayne County Executive's Office. They're going to assist us in branching it out, as you're well aware. And so we have an opportunity, based on something that he came up with then Officer Thurkill, to do something other than arrest our kids, right? To do something that made sense for them. It's going to now touch thousands of kids. We have over $1 million in this program. around this city. So I think that alone is worthy of compliment. But in addition to that, he was promoted to lieutenant, signed a gang intelligence to transit support team, where he's responsible for monitoring gang activity. Lieutenant Dunning works to prevent violence and criminal behavior. That's his goal. But if arrest is necessary, he doesn't mind making it. Lieutenant Dunning earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Oakland University. Additionally, Lieutenant Dunning has a master's of science degree in criminal justice from Wayne State University. He's also a graduate of the Mike Hillis School of Business at Wayne State University. With pride, I recommend Lieutenant Dunning the captain.
Absolutely. What is the pleasure of this board?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, support by Commissioner Moore. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
What a impressive representation that you provided for this wonderful officer. However, I want to know, Chief, if you could speak to the forced investigation complaints on his record, and how that aids into your decision.
Yeah, I looked at them, and I've taken some risks, as been pointed out. By this body, and I believe in second chances, I do. But this isn't one that required a second chance. What I looked at is the youth of the officer, the nature of the work that he was involved in conversations with him, asking him, what were you thinking? What were you engaged in? One of the things that was most impressive is no excuses. Made a mistake, learned from it, moved on, and I'm teaching other young officers how not to make the same mistake. And then I look at current state. I look at what he's done since he's been a supervisor, from sergeant, not captain or lieutenant. What did he do as a sergeant when he first got the stripes? Has been a great leader, a great mentor to many. He's connected with a lot of our captains and commanders. Our assistant chief, and AC Fitzgerald, speaks very highly of him, meets with him constantly, was very firm on the recommendation. We knew that we could hit a bump in the road with the body, but we talked about who he is and how we would both stand firm on who he is. So I make this recommendation with pride, knowing that he has been disciplined quite a while ago, as a young officer in the department, running and gunning. And he recognizes that he could do things better, and he has.
I don't know if you've seen the report that we have, and this might be able to help me. The numbers in front, does that represent the year that the incident was investigated?
They turn it to it. Oh, they got it.
Through the chair, I'm not familiar with
In the document of the promotional candidate summary that were provided under the force investigation complaints, where it says case number, and then it says FI, then it provides a number 11-019. I'm wondering if that first number can help me to identify the year that this happened, because again, to the chief's point, it would be encouraging to know that these happened some time ago, but there isn't a year.
Through the chair, that is the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's helpful. No further questions.
Any
Thank you.
questions? Go ahead.
Through the chair, I've had an opportunity of working with Dunning through a community engagement specialist with Ceasefire Detroit, as well as being a mentor with the Sisterhood program that derived from you and Brotherhood. I think you do an outstanding job. You're an amazing officer, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to speak with the Brotherhood, and I have seen him work in this community tirelessly. So the redemption is real with this young man, and it's been far past. He has paid his dues in terms of serving this community and loving on these young people and people who have been in gang-infested situations, being able to work with that, and has gone inside the juvenile detention facility to talk with them on his own time and on his own dime, to be able to make sure they have services there with them to work with those young people. So I deeply admire that of you, young man, and I would say, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Congratulations. Have anything to say?
Through the chair, I want to say thank you to the board, thank you to the chief of police, thank you to the executive staff to appoint me to the rank of captain. I will ensure the board I will lead with integrity, ensuring the safety and services to our community. Again, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to Lieutenant Stacy Greer-Travis. Lieutenant Stacy Greer-Travis was appointed to the Detroit Police Department on January 26, 1998. After completing the Detroit Police Metropolitan Training Academy, Officer Greer-Travis was assigned to the 8th Precinct Patrol Operations. During her tenure, she has worked patrol operations, 8th Precinct, 10th Precinct, and aside from patrol operations, Officer Greer-Travis also worked at the Office of the Chief of Police, Internal Controls. Officer Greer-Travis was exposed to a variety of patrol, investigative, and administrative duties. Overall, Officer Greer-Travis has acquired a wide range of skills. One of the things this board will note is she spent the overwhelming majority of her time in an enforcement capacity. She did do some stints at IA. She also did some work at Vice, but you will note as a supervisor, she consistently works patrol. On December 22nd, 2010, Police Officer Greer-Travis was promoted to the rank of sergeant and was assigned to the Southwestern District. Sergeant Greer-Travis also served as a supervisor at Tech Ops and an administrative supervisor at CIB, which is the Criminal Investigation Bureau, before assuming the role of officer in charge of the Vice unit. She coordinated undercover operations and ensured that her team adhered to the legal and ethical standards during her investigations at Vice. On July 8th, 2017, Sergeant Greer-Travis was promoted to the rank of lieutenant and was sent to the 5th Precinct, where she served as the officer in charge of the 3rd Platoon afternoons. She also serves as a desk supervisor for communications, responsible for 911 operators and dispatchers and telephone crime reporting. As you can hear, she's done a little bit of everything. Further, Lieutenant Greer-Travis serves as the officer in charge of the 2nd Precinct Special Operations and Ceasefire Unit and Firearms Training as the OIC. So she worked at Firearms Training, then she goes back to the officer in charge of the 2nd Precinct Ceasefire Unit, and now she is currently, which is not on here, at the 10th Precinct. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 10, Special Ops.
And she's special ops there as well, leading, as I indicated earlier, very high-profile cases, the most violent of the violent, and she's doing it with distinction. She's a graduate of University of Phoenix. She holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a certificate from the Mike Miller School of Business, Wayne State. Hey, we're a multi-million-dollar organization. We got
You're going to not arrest them to have that.
Her business acumen provides her the skills necessary to manage resources and personnel effectively. She is a person that people talk to, the officers go to for direction and leadership, certainly being at the forefront of special operations with the amount of time that she has on the job, really serves as a beacon for those who are in patrol to get promoted. So it's with great pride that I make her recommendation to that of captain.
What is the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, supported by Commissioner Bernard. All in favor? Any discussion? Congratulations. We got a vote. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
Chief, I just want to say to you, thank you so much for having the confidence in me that I will be able to move a step further with the department. Also to the board, I would like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I will not let you down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're getting to the end here on these. Recommendation to the rank of captain for Lieutenant Scott Pellerito. Lieutenant Scott Pellerito was appointed to the Detroit Police Department September 27, 1999. Police Officer Pellerito was assigned to the 5th Precinct Patrol Operations after completing the Detroit Metropolitan Police Academy. Officer Pellerito was assigned to Eastern District, where he further honed his skills in patrol operations, crime scene investigations, and public relations. On November 25, 2013, Officer Pellerito was promoted to sergeant, assigned to the 7th Precinct and Special Operations. Sergeant Pellerito was designated as the precinct's admin sergeant, overseeing records management and compliance with the department's policies. Should be noted that was the time that we were right in that consent judgment. It was a lot to that job. Sergeant Pellerito also was responsible for the overall supervision of patrol at the same precinct. On May 2nd, 2022, Master Sergeant Pellerito was promoted to lieutenant and was assigned to Crime Scene Services. So again, May 2nd, 2022, Master Sergeant Pellerito gets promoted to lieutenant and is assigned to the officer in charge of Crime Scene Services as a commanding officer of Crime Scene Services, where he came to my attention. So we look for leadership across the department. One of the things that I saw in Lieutenant Pellerito at Crime Scene Services is that we have a huge number of civilians that don't get the respect, that don't feel that they get the respect that they deserve, and that comes from just really a lack of access to command, lack of access to me, and perception is reality for the perceiver. They didn't feel cared about, they didn't feel that their needs were being met, and they had a very sensitive and important job. It was his courage that came to me and said, hey, Chief, this is what we need for this operation. He puts in various requests for equipment, noting why it's needed, noting that his people needed to get their jobs done. Morale was an issue there. He has not only sustained morale, but we've seen less turnover since he's been there. He's done just amazing work, and that's the type of leader we want to impact this department. Unafraid to bring bad news to the chief. And not just shake your head yes when I ask a question. Sometimes the answer is no. And so I appreciate that about him and ask that he continues to do that, and I'm confident that he will. Lieutenant Pellerito earned a Bachelor's of Business Administration in Diversity and Leadership and Public Service from Cleary University. Lieutenant Pellerito has also earned a Senior Management Certificate from Cleary University, and he's also a graduate from the Mike Ilitch Wayne State School of Business. He also has a degree in organizational leadership from Wayne State, which is also phenomenal. With that, I proudly recommend his position to captain.
What's the pleasure of this board?
So moved.
Support. Moved by Commissioner DeWash and second by Commissioner Bernard. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, through the chair, just very quickly. Between the range of 2006 to as early as 2019, there are a number of use of force incidents that occurred. Is there any more insight that you might be able to articulate in terms of your decision making?
Yes, I looked at those, and I looked at the outcomes as well, and the assignments that he had at the time. Nothing, it was more than I would have liked to have seen, but looking at the leadership, where he worked, a couple of those were complaints against a number of people, including him. I have no concerns that I saw as an outlier. Again, talking to both A.C. Fitzgerald and A.C. Ewing. A.C. Ewing, having had personal interaction with him on a number of times, I asked about his personality, his character, his demeanor. He highlighted one particular incident where a coaching situation occurred at the 11th precinct that was positive. In my interview of Lieutenant Pellerito, he brought that incident up himself, which I thought was really positive, that he recognized that as a coaching moment, took it as such, and moved forward. Talking to the people that work for him, many of them said to me, please don't promote him. I'm like, oh God, what did he do? They said, no, we don't want to lose him. And so that's always something positive to hear, so I have no concerns.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Congratulations.
Through the chair, I just want to thank you guys for the confidence, and Chief, thank you so much for the opportunity. I promise not to let you or the executive team down.
Thank you.
Okay. So if we can try to bundle up these lieutenants, if everyone read everything, if anything stands out, or we can discuss it, between, if we can bundle those up, we can go for that.
I think I can get the board where they want to be.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to the rank of lieutenant. In order to maintain operational efficiency, I'm requesting to fill the open budgeted positions. The promotion from the rank to lieutenant is requested for the following members.
Come on up when they call your name. When he call your name.
Sergeant Aaron Yop, Sergeant Donald Covington, Sergeant McDaniel, Sergeant Jason Burke, Sergeant Christina Dunbar, and Sergeant Craig Palmerville.
Are they here? Come on up.
All right.
I guess the rest of them didn't want it, man.
Which one is?
Sergeant Craig Palmerville.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Chief.
I have reviewed their eligibility for promotion to lieutenant. This fills open positions. What the board will note is that one lieutenant in particular position will take place after the position is vacated from a member who has put in their retirement paperwork. That person will be falling off the books, I believe, in a week. So he will be delayed. The last one, it's Sergeant, ironically, the one that's here, Sergeant Craig Palmerville, but he will attend the LPAC, SPAC as scheduled.
Okay. All right, you done?
I'm done.
Move approval of the recommendations as stated by the chief.
Motion made by Commissioner Bernard to approve, second by Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Yep. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion is carried. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to the board. Thank you, Chief.
No, I'm going to use this. This good? What's the problem?
So, is any in Section D stands out for anyone? You know, just let it be known. But you can go ahead, Chief.
All right, recommendation to the rank of sergeant, as previously discussed in the reasoning for promotion to lieutenant, the promotion from police officer, corporal, or detective to the rank of sergeant is requested for the following members: Detective Marquila Moore to sergeant, Detective Whitney Willis to sergeant, Detective Andre Camp to sergeant, Police Officer Tyrell Jones to sergeant, Police Officer Detective Farber, William Farber, or to the sergeant, Police Officer Jeremy Perinello to sergeant, Detective Lauren Adams to sergeant, Detective Michael McGivens to sergeant, Police Officer Justin Matthews to sergeant, Police Officer Adam Zlowski to sergeant, Detective James Aud to sergeant, Corporal Anthony Carrion to sergeant, Police Officer Robert Beach to sergeant, Detective Terrence Warner to sergeant, Police Officer Victoria Riley to sergeant, Police Officer DeJuan Smith to sergeant. The board will note that I make these recommendations proudly and think that they are in position to lead and supervise this department.
Okay. Hey, are you guys here? Any of you here?
Bodyguard.
Oh, for real?
Chair, I do have a question. Chief, was there ever a special conference with some of these folks up for promotion with the unions? I'm just curious.
I did not have a special conference with them. Oh, wait a minute. Was there a special conference?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. What is the pleasure of the board?
I move the approval of these candidates. Some of the information, of course, as you know, Chief, is a little sketchy, but I have confidence in your ability to make those decisions. And I also firmly believe in the fact that if you're going to lead a team, you get to pick your team. So therefore, any other reservations?
So you move for approval?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to remove from the bundle Police Officer Jeremy Perinello.
Okay. So is there a second to that motion?
Well, it doesn't need a second.
He don't need it. He said he don't need it. He said.
There's no second required to remove
Amen.
from the bundle.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to ask our chief investigator what names that you like to see removed, since your office have already done some vetting.
Well, he's not a commissioner. It's the commissioners who make that decision, and it wouldn't be ill-advised for him to make that statement.
But his
public.
Through the chair, his his expertise from his office and his position that he stands as the chief investigator is definitely entitled
Commissioner.
to making a recommendation to this board and so therefore his opinion would definitely be
Commissioner, we've been properly advised. We have been sent the materials
Correct.
from the Chief Investigator Office, and we have. It's up to us to scrutinize these documents and to make whatever decision that we're going to make. I hear what you're saying, but the information has been provided,
Correct.
and so we have to move on. Say the officer name that is removed from that batch.
Police Officer Jeremy Perinello. I think I'm saying that right.
Okay, all right. So Perinello is removed from that batch. With Perinello removed from that batch, what is the pleasure of the board?
Wait, excuse me. I don't understand the removal process.
Well, that's for.
Made a recommendation to us, a whole group of people. I understand us having an individual objection to someone, but I don't understand how that person is therefore removed from the
We would
pack.
deal with that separately.
Yeah. So just
Want me to explain, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
When you have a motion to adopt a bundle of names, as the motion would be for whatever number of names that there are, you're basically saying instead of having 7 individual motions to adopt the recommendation, that you're going to adopt these 7 names with one motion. Now, what Robert says is that's fine, but if one person wants to remove a particular name, they can do so without requiring a second or at that point providing an explanation. So at this point, any commissioner can say, I want to remove so-and-so from the bundle. And what you then are left to do is to move adoption of who remains in the bundle and to adopt the recommendation. Once you've done that, then you go back to the person who has been removed from the bundle, and that whoever removed that name from the bundle must be prepared to, and now you still need the motion to adopt the recommendation, but then at that point, whoever removed the name from the bundle must be prepared to discuss what their reasons are for doing so. So you're taking one motion and saying, we're going to adopt all these people with one motion, and someone says, no, not person A, and they have the right to remove that person. You then go ahead and complete the motion for all those who remain in the bundle. Then you go back to the person who was not approved, move adoption of the recommendation, and then the person who removed that person from the bundle can speak in debate as to why they wanted that name removed.
So then we vote that name individually.
Right. Yeah, right.
You will vote on that name individually.
Thank you.
Yep. What Perinello, say the name?
Jeremy Perinello.
Jerry Perinello is removed from that batch. With him removed from the batch, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Abstention.
Opposed?
Abstention.
Mr. Chairman, are you moving adoption of the remaining names at this point?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't clear because you're not moving adoption of the removal. You're moving adoption of the chief's recommendation for the others. Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
Absolutely. Being that it was two abstentions, do we need a roll call? But I think the majority, it's 2 abstentions. Do we need a roll call?
Sure decision, Chair.
Roll call vote. And I don't think an abstention is, Madam Parliamentarian, can we abstain?
The law department has given the opinion that an abstention is a no vote.
Not true.
That's the law department's written opinion. That's not a parliamentary.
It's not. Okay.
Parliamentary does not agree with that, but that's what the law department has given.
I don't agree either.
Okay. Mr. Secretary.
Chairperson Wood.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Smith.
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard.
I'll approve the rest of them, yes. But I want to come back to this.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Burton.
Commissioner Burton. to the next.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Staying.
Commissioner DeWash.
Yes.
Commissioner Presley.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is approved. And so do we go straight into the objection or the one that we remove?
Through the chair.
Need the motion to adopt the recommendation, and then during debate, the individual who moves the name would be speaking first as to why they wanted that name removed.
Okay, Commissioner Presley.
Through the chair.
Yes, oh, excuse me.
Could we first congratulate the officers?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Still alive. Yeah, phenomenal brother too. Phenomenal.
Good guy.
Yep.
I would like to note for the board that Police Officer Joseph Malouf, who was not included in that group, I am contractually obligated to promote him in looking at the contract and looking at the collective bargaining agreement. The terms of the agreement necessitates that I submit his name, and that's Police Officer Joseph Malouf. As chief, I have concerns, significant concerns, but absent anything beyond that, I cannot exercise any authority that overrides his contractual rights to promotion.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
And Chief, that's why I was asking about the special conference, see if it was some conversation had regarding some concerns you might have had, but you answered it, so.
Yes. And so, what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Go back to him, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me.
We have been down this path before, and the chief is correct in reference to the contract. We should honor that in terms we have no choice. Past practice.
Yes. What's the pleasure of the board?
To act in accordance with the contract.
Okay, what are you saying?
But the chief has recommended, we will follow. I recommend that we accept the determination and recommendation of Chief White.
Yeah. Excuse me, Mr. Secretary.
You still haven't satisfied the removal of one of the.
Yeah, so let's deal with that first, and then we come to that. All right.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm not going to make the motion because I'm objecting to it. So again, when discussion comes, that gives me the opportunity to suggest why I'm not. So someone who is in favor of the chief's recommendation to promote Police Officer Jeremy Pinello to the rank of sergeant can make that motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bell, second by Commissioner Bernard. Discussion.
Yep. So I truly recognize that there is very little authority that the board has to usurp what has already been contractually agreed to. But I do think that it's important with my vote, to state my position on this regard. And, as stated earlier, I do pay attention to the timing and recognize that growth happens. But there are a number of incidences on the candidate summary that are relatively recent, that are pretty alarming. And that's inclusive of internal affairs investigation, as well as conduct that has been deemed to be unbecoming of a police officer that occurred as early as 2020. And then not to mention the number of use of incidences forces, which I recognize that in a tenure in the police department might be, a high number, but for my preference is just too high. And so for those reasons, I cannot support the chief's recommendation for this promotion.
Any further discussion?
Does the chief have any comment?
I'm sure he don't. I share the sentiments of my colleague. I would not put my name on this, and it's too many alarming things there, and so roll call vote.
Yes, Commissioner Woods.
No.
Vice Chair Smith.
No.
Commissioner Bernard.
Abstain.
Commissioner Bell,
Yes.
Commissioner Burton,
No.
Commissioner Moore,
No.
Commissioner Hernandez,
No.
Commissioner Presley,
No.
Commissioner DeWash.
Abstain.
So it don't go past. Maloof, what is your pleasure?
Who?
Police Officer Maloof to the rank of sergeant. What is your pleasure?
It's recommended by the chief's office, correct?
Reluctantly.
Okay. Well, I move the approval. It's consistent with the contract. It doesn't make sense for us to pay lawyers and for an arbitration for something that's going to happen anyway. I mean, we have to obey
Motion
our
made by
contract.
Commissioner Bernard,
We have to obey our contract.
second by Commissioner Bell. Any discussion?
Roll call, please.
Well, I do have discussion, just so again, so for the public's information, again, the candidate summary, possesses some very questionable and concerning behavior as recent as 2023 and 2024. And so again, looking at these things that are on the record, I can in good conscience support this promotion.
I share the sentiments of my colleague. This is too alarming for me to approve. So, any other comments? No further comments. A roll call vote?
Chairperson Woods,
No.
Vice Chairperson Smith,
No.
Commissioner Bernard,
I just saw all this. Hold on a minute. I'll abstain. I'm not prepared to vote yes.
Commissioner Burton,
No.
Commissioner Bell,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
No.
Commissioner Presley,
No.
Commissioner Hernandez,
No.
Commissioner DeWash.
No.
So it fails with us, and Chief?
Noted. I have noted both of those, and they will not move forward. But as this body is well aware, it will now move likely to an arbitration decision from here, but they will not move forward.
Yes, sir.
Finally, the recommendations to the rank of detective, as previously discussed in my reasoning for promotion to lieutenant and sergeant, the promotion to police officer or corporal to the rank of detective is requested for the below members. And I will note that these members come with my recommendation: Police Officer Kelly Patillo, Police Officer Alana Flint, Police Officer Lindsay Rogan, Police Officer Brendan Brown, Police Officer Roman Kozak, Police Officer Angela Podolsky, Police Officer Erica Dudley, Police Officer Terrence Barron, Police Officer Eric Smith, Police Officer, I can't do the first or last name. Elpidio.
Sanson.
Thank you. Police Officer Chase Malloy, Police Officer John Glowacki, Police Officer Dana Ford, Police Officer Shannon Bullock, Police Officer James Reeves. The board will also note that there are at least 2 members that I went out of sequence where the contract allowed me to skip based on their previous performance. So it's not sequential with the list. I skipped 2 because of their disciplinary history. However, the Police Officer Larry Jenkins, who you will find on your list, I am contractually obligated to promote, did not meet the threshold for me to skip as I skipped the other 2. And I am obligated to endorse that individual, you will see him noted on the recommendation.
What is the pleasure of this board? Do we want to separate Jenkins out of Larry Jenkins out of that batch?
Point of information, Madam Parliamentarian, is it appropriate to remove from the bundle prior to a motion?
I'm getting some feedback when you're speaking, so I didn't completely hear the question. I'm sorry, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, I'll ask again, but the chair, your acting secretary is desiring your attention.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Jenkins is already removed from that bundle.
Okay.
And so, Madam Parliamentarian, my question was, is it appropriate to remove from the bundle prior to a motion being made?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I would like to remove from the bundle Police Officer Eric Smith.
Okay. So Jenkins is already separated and Eric Smith is removed from the batch.
With that, Mr. Chair, through the chair, make a motion to accept the chief's recommendation to promote to the rank of detective those officers named, with the exception of the ones removed from the bundle.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley, second by Commissioner DeWalsh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion?
Abstain.
Okay. Will anyone oppose? Okay.
Oppose.
Abstain now. Okay.
I abstain too.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if you heard this opposition here from Commissioner Burton.
You vote no. Give us a roll call vote.
Chairperson Woods.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Smith.
I'm back.
Well, this is for the bundle without it. So this is everybody else?
Oh, he's there. Okay, yes.
Vice, okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
The roll call vote is for removing Eric Smith.
Well, no, not for the removal, to accept all of them.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you.
Yep. You continue on, Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Bernard.
Yes. You said.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Burton.
Abstain.
Commissioner Moore.
Abstain.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Yes.
Commissioner Presley.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWalsh.
Yes.
Okay, so the ayes have it.
Congratulations.
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 Any motion as relates to Eric, was Eric
Smith.
Smith?
Yes.
What is your pleasure as to Eric Smith?
What? That he be,
You need a motion to accept the recommendation, then you can discuss it.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting on a motion. I entertain a motion.
there's no motion to accept it.
So there's no motion to accept Eric Smith. Is there a motion to accept Larry Jenkins?
Get back. Hold on.
There appeared not to be a motion to accept Larry Jenkins. Is this final? All right, no motion to accept Larry Jenkins. Chief?
Again, he will not be moving to the training portion for promotion. I will not promote based on this board. But we know that the arbitration decision will come back likely. We will testify at the arbitration as to the concerns that not only does this board have, but I have. But I will say this, regardless of the arbitration decision, we have a responsibility to provide excellence in policing to this community. They will all be held to a standard. I will express my concerns to them. I will express my concerns to their supervisor. And if they don't meet the 1 year evaluation, then there will be a recommendation to take them from those positions despite what the arbitrator may find, and not to do anything to compromise the arbitrator's decision, but they have to meet the standards of their new position. And if they do not, that will be independent of the arbitrator's decision. It'll be documented, and we'll be able to defend it if they don't meet those standards. And that includes customer service. That includes their ability to interact with our community without getting an exorbitant number of citizens' complaints. And that includes personal conduct, as I'm sure the board has seen at least with 2 of the members. They're outside of our activity or outside of work activity is as concerning as their work activity.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
And Chief, I don't know if this question is for you or if it's for Corporation Counsel Mallet, but why would y'all lock yourselves in so tight with the collective bargaining agreement that says about discipline?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's locked in tight. I think you look at where they started, and there's been a lot of expansion of that. Not a lot, but some. I think what we've learned is that really the conduct occurs to prevent them from taking the test. Is not after they take it, and that's where the restrictions are. It has to be a certain threshold has to be met before they're not allowed to be promoted, which is what we've met on a couple of them that you don't even see before you, but you'll probably be hearing from them soon. But to your point, Commissioner Moore, I think we should have done a better job on the front end to keep them from taking the test. We've got some room to do that now with this new contract. Nothing dramatically different than the old contract. We just are going to follow it now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your moral clarity in this, and thank you for your leadership. We have an obligation to the citizens of the city of Detroit that we make sure that we put out forth a great product, and we see what's going on around the country, and we have to continue to prevent that from happening in the city of Detroit. And thank you for your constitutional excellence in this space.
Thank you very much. And thank this body for these promotions. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add that it's very important that the board play a part and an important role going forward with the collective bargaining conversations, because the board has to have a presence there if we are going to be in charge of police oversight. And so this is something, to note.
That's an excellent point. I think we had announced oral communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Ms. Demetrius Robinson here in the room. And then we'll go into Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Someone make sure they keep the time.
It's up there.
It's up there? Oh, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Robinson. I am the
Microphone, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Demetrius Robinson. I am the voice of my deceased daughter, and I thank you for bringing to attention that the detectives are not reaching out to the families. On December the 31st, 2022, my daughter was murdered. The police, for some reason, for some unforeseen reason, are addressing it as a suicide when the medical examiner pulled up evidence and said homicide. We have been shuffled around. We have been pushed around. I had a detective stay on the phone with me till midnight, asking me, was I the murderer? I had the police come to my home with their guns drawn on me, accusing me of kidnapping my granddaughter. There's no justice in the justice. So I'm hoping that we can get some type of results. They have enough evidence, and I was told this by several detectives, to arrest the man that done it to my daughter. In the same home that she was murdered in, a few weeks later, a homeless man was murdered and hung from the basement with a dog collar. I just need justice for my daughter's surviving 7-year-old daughter. This was my firstborn of 8, and I just need something. I'm tired of, I have a daughter that had to run out of state because my granddaughter is in danger. And my daughter's voice, we have been beating up the pavement doing the job of the police, and it's been shuffled around too long for us not to get anything except for, we'll get back with you next week. And next week don't come. So that's why I'm gonna be here, and I'm not going anywhere till I hear something from my deceased daughter, DeShante Wallace, was a voice that needs to be heard, and I'm speaking for her because she was brutally murdered on New Year's Eve. So please, please help me as best you can. I'm just a mother trying. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And if you stand there, I know your daughter, Shay, is on the line, too.
Yes, she is.
And we did bridge that gap with her in homicide on yesterday. She should have gotten a call from the lieutenant on the case. That, you know, we don't want to share online or whatever, you know, because, you know, this is a very sensitive situation. But I did hear from your daughter yesterday, and I went to homicide, the other day, and I went to homicide personally and got that information to them, you know. And so we're just going to continue to pray for that situation, that it be a expeditious resolve, you know. We just got to pray over it, you know. But we did bridge that gap, and you will get ongoing communication, and so we'll see what Shay have to say. I know that she's online because she texted me. Okay, and can you speak to it as well, Sloan?
Through the chair, Deputy Chief Carrie Sloan. Ma'am, I'm over the Detective Bureau, and I have Commander Rebecca McKay, who's in the audience. She's going to take you aside and speak with you personally, if you'd, right there, just so you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then lastly, you shared in communication with a detective to midnight that something was said to you you found to be inappropriate. Now, that might be within their function as a detective to ask those questions, but if you feel that it went across the line of appropriateness, then we can definitely follow up with a citizen complaint report as well.
Thank you so much.
We have
thank
one.
you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, all right.
Thank you.
Miss
person.
Miss Beatrice Smith.
I'm going to be very brief today because I got an appointment, but I want to tell you, and I wish the chief was here, I'm going to Chicago, and I'm going to speak in regard, that's my hometown in case you guys don't know it, I was born and raised there. But I'm going to tell them about my police department here in the city of Detroit. I was very active in politics there in 1955, so I'm still keeping up with some of my friends there. But I just want to let them know what kind of police department that we have here in the city of Detroit. And I'm going to be bragging my so-and-so off because I do believe in our police department. I'm down there at Greektown on the weekends, and I survey what our police are doing down there. And they're doing a hell of a good job. They know me, and I tell them all the time to be safe down here because you are taking care of the city of Detroit. So wish me luck when I go and talk to them and tell them what a hell of a police department that we have here in the city of Detroit. I know we have crime just like everybody else, but compared to last month when I was down in Memphis, we don't even come near them people down there. So I'm just telling you, I'm going to talk about you and I'm going to tell the truth. We do have some, you know, we do have some faults with our department, but in all the years that I've been here in the city of Detroit and dealt with the police since '73 when Coleman Young was the mayor, I think I'm doing a good job in saying that our police department is the best. And those that are on this board that don't give credit to our police department, you need to pray and consider yourself lucky to be in the city of Detroit. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
You know, I just wanted to add that, you know, it'd be nice if, you know, if you can also talk about, you know, the community participation and how they plug into the police board of commissioners meeting, how they express policy concern issues when it, you know, involving oversight, which is the board is, you know, primary, you know, duties. And so it's always good to share that too, because without, we wouldn't be elected commission body as well as those that are appointed without the community, you know, echoing, you know, for a charter change, which some of us came on and because of the 2012 charter change, You got Commissioner Bell, myself, Commissioner Moore, and Carter that came on because of the charter change. We remember when it was a 5-member commission board. So now you have those are elected and those are appointed, which is makes it a very unique board across the country.
Okay. Thank you. Great point.
Mr. Foster?
Good evening.
Good evening.
And through the board, first I wanted to just come down and say transparency. I'm very grateful that you guys are asking the right questions and making efforts to keep our community a lot safer from not just criminals, but from police as well. I think that's important that you guys are taking that stance. Secondly, I want to encourage you all to do a little more to bridge the gaps within our community. And what I mean by bridge the gaps is not just being visible, but really helping change a perspective and how we all conduct ourselves and interact and engage with our community. Our youth, whether we know it or not, they are begging and craving for engagement. They're craving for positive engagement. You know, they don't want to have the fear or anxiety of police encounters. And those are things that we personally could work on in changing their perspectives and how we encounter our youth. Thirdly, I know it was a sad situation with the sheriffs here, but I'm personally asking this board to create policies that anybody going to any police district should stop in and check in with the watch commander or the duty supervisor, regardless of whatever positions that they're doing in the city. It's very important that nobody is running around our city rogue and trying to enact or enforce laws while simultaneously breaking laws. The color of law, color of state is real. You cannot put on a uniform and enforce and enact anything outside of your jurisdiction or by any other means. And then lastly, crime victim is a right. MCL section 780.766 highlights everything that our victims have rights to. Let's do a better job in giving them their rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
We're going into Zoom. Election integrity rule.
You may be heard.
Can you hear me clearly, Darrell Woods?
Yes, sir.
Now, last week, Commissioner Bernard was about to make a request to subpoena the Michigan State Police report about Kenesha's death. Now, Nene won what she won. I went through everybody in this whole city. You in the way now, man. You in the way. Get out the way, because me and Nene coming through. Now, there's no way that Kenesha, left-handed individual, took a 9mm weapon and shot herself in the left side at that trajectory that that bullet traveled to go out her back. There was no bullet fragment at the scene, no suicide weapon at the scene. The Michigan State Police found out what happened to that unemployment insurance fraud money that came up missing, Kenesha's money. They found out exactly what happened to that. Now, there was, I'm gonna ask you to step down, man. Resign from the Board of Police Commissioners. I done checked into you when you was over there, Brian, correctional facility. Step down from the Board of Police Commissioners, man, and get out of Nene's way. Get out of her way. She coming through. She want to know the truth. That her mom, she knows her mama didn't shoot herself because her mama promised to take her to Disneyland. If she asked me this in 2021, I've been going through all this. Now we need to subpoena the Michigan State Police report so the truth can be known. The Michigan State Police said there's not enough evidence to deem it a suicide. That's what they told Kenesha's mother. But that's what that damn report should say, too.
All right, thank you. Next speaker.
Former Commissioner William Davis.
You may be heard.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'd like to start off by saying I think the DPW and OTC should do more about tracking wrongful arrests in Detroit. Also, you have to look at how much in lawsuits this costs the city of Detroit. Because I'm also president of the Detroit Active Retired Employee Association, so we should not be burdened with the cost of people that's doing wrong. Also, as a change, I'd like to say that I was pleased to see that y'all voted against some officers today. That was one of the problems I had with some of my colleagues when I was on the board. There was a number of times when I was the only person voting against a promotion for someone in the past. In fact, that was one of the problems I had with Eva coming back. I personally like Eva, but far too often, too many people are too willing to go along to get along. And I think if an officer has a bad record, even if ultimately arbitration gives them the promotion, the board should take a strong stand against people who have bad records. So I hope y'all do a little bit more, especially as it relates to tracking wrongful arrests in the city of Detroit. Far too many Black and brown people get wrongfully arrested. That still goes on. There's been a problem for 30 years in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more?
Yes, sir, we have 3 more.
Okay.
A caller with the initials SHRWL.
State your name for the record. Are you present?
I can go to the next speaker, sir.
Okay.
Our next speaker will be Mr. Deontay Smith. Please state your name for the record because I mispronounced your name.
You may be heard, Mr. Deontay Smith.
It's Jadante Smith.
Okay.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I just want to give a shout out to Commissioner Moore for his bringing up that rogue detective who had all of those, fraudulent convictions based off her methods. I also want to speak about Sherman Butler, the tenant that was murdered in a Palmer Park eviction. I would love for one of the commissioners to make a motion to release that body cam footage and another commissioner to second that motion. I also want to talk about the missing persons cases in the city of Detroit. And the mother who came last week, her son's name is Lamari, who we recovered yesterday within less than a week without any police resources. And after the police put the wrong picture of her son out, I just want to say there are so many missing kids because officers are not doing enough to look for these missing kids. There's no way that a few people just using the community resources without any big budget like the city has, this multi-million-dollar budget the city has for the police department, should be able to have to recover children that are missing in this city. And we have all these officers out here getting promotions. And also I want to talk about homicide. The fact that homicide is, and the chief is just promoting officers to different ranks and their cases are being left open. And the fact that we have 2 people talking about murders that are deemed suicides by these detectives in homicide because they don't want to have to do the work that they have to do to solve and close these cases. I also want to talk about the 7th Precinct and the fact that I filed several complaints on the 7th Precinct and the fact that these officers, there's lots of good officers at the 7th Precinct, but there are lots of bad officers at the 7th Precinct, especially I want to talk about Lieutenant O'Gorman, who is over Metro. And I also want to talk about the fact that, I'm going to skip around for Lieutenant Cole. I have not talked to Internal Affairs about Lieutenant Cole, but there's Lieutenant O'Gorman, who's a part of Metro, who's breaking up these block clubs, who watched the officer assault me and didn't do anything to intervene. As a lieutenant who's been on the force for several years, with 20 plus years, I'm sure, and he's a training lieutenant, that's unacceptable. We need to fix these issues.
Thank you. Next comment.
Ms. Tara Brown.
Hi, my name is Tyra Brown. Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
I want to echo what, can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
I'm sorry, good evening. I want to echo what Jadante said. It would be great if one of you all made a motion to get that body cam and another one of you seconded on Sherman Butler's case. Again, Sherman Butler has been dead 30 days and the public has no information on what happened to him. There are problems in 36th District Court. I've had the opportunity to look at some of the records surrounding his housing. It looks like the company that took him to court weren't even supposed to be taking him to court because the building had been sold to somebody else, and it had been sold well before he was taken to court. So there are some things that need to be investigated on that case, and we would like to see the body cam. The other thing I want to say is usually I'm in here complaining about the police commission, but tonight I was really proud of you all because I noticed some information. I came across some information regarding one of the officers that you turned down, Joseph Maloof. Yeah, if you all aren't sure, you need to speak to Conrad Mallett and Mike Duggan about him because they worked with him when he was terminated from DMC. He has some problems, and this is a part of the problem. The city of Detroit hires suburban police officers that are not vested in our community, and they come here and beat the hell out of the residents and mistreat them and cause lawsuits, and then they get to go back to their suburban communities, and the millions of dollars that they are costing us is not affecting them, and that needs to stop. And even though you all will probably go to arbitration and lose, just know the community is supporting you all for doing the right thing tonight. Again, he definitely needed to be stopped, and it was probably a couple of them in other batches that needed to be stopped. But y'all are making some steps, and I'm really proud of y'all tonight because, again, like I said, I sent y'all some information, and I had the opportunity to review a lot of that information. And yes, he did not need to move forward. And the fact that the chief had to sit there and dryly mention that he was going to be promoted should concern everybody in the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to go back to the last person. I was going to try again. The person with the initials SHRWL. They're not responding, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I do have a question for Deputy Chief Sloan.
Yes.
I know the department is categorizing this as a non-officer involved shooting in regards to Sherman Lee Butler, the man in Palmer Park. It does appear that it was an officer involved. Not that the officer did the shooting, but the officers were involved in the shooting because of the taser. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Through the chair, I can't give specifics as to the investigation, but it is ongoing. It's being handled by Homicide Task Force. It's being handled by Homicide Task Force with MSP taking the lead on the investigation.
And that's under your shop, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I would like to make a motion in conjunction with what the public wants, Mr. Chairman, for the release of the body-worn camera footage in regards to the Sherman Lee Butler shooting that occurred July 12, 2024 under the Chief's 45-day release mandate.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Moore to release the footage of the Sherman Lee Butler, excuse me, case within the 45-day mandate. And it was seconded by Commissioner Burton. And discussion? Yes, sir.
Thank you, through the chair. It may be, and this is my own opinion, but it may be a little too preliminary. Second to that, we'll have to probably review policy, but it's very likely out of the jurisdiction of this board to be able to request that. So I would just put that out there in consideration as you vote. It's not that we don't have a desire for transparency. Clearly we do as a body. I would just ask that we consider all factors that are at stake when making this decision to vote.
Absolutely.
And my question, DC Sloan, is I guess building off of Commissioner Moore's inquiry, is the categorizing an incident as an officer-involved shooting or not what triggers the 45 days? So in this instance, because it was not considered an officer-involved shooting, was it the department's intention to eventually release the body-worn camera footage? Or because it was not considered an officer-involved shooting, the department would not be required to do so?
Through the chair, Commander McGinnis, do you have any specifics related to that?
Yes, because this is not an officer-involved shooting, it doesn't fall into the policy related to the 45 days. So it's a total separate incident. It's a criminal investigation being conducted by Homicide Task Force.
Okay, and that's a big concerning to me, and I don't know if there's something we can do in reviewing the policy, because and not to suggest that this is what the department is doing, but to classify something as non-officer-involved shooting allowing them to not have to release the body-worn camera footage may be something that creates a loophole where I don't think we want one in the policy.
If I would make the recommendation, I think the board, if they could make the request for the video through the chief's office, and then the chief's office will respond appropriately.
Okay, thank you.
Can you want to put a letter together and send it?
Sure, we could put a letter together and send it.
Yep. Okay. All right. So do you withdraw?
You want me to withdraw the motion?
Yeah.
Well, in the interest of the public, I want to keep the motion up there and let the commissioners vote their conscience.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Could I, if my colleague would accept, would you consider, or through the chair, would my colleague consider rewording the language of the motion to state that it's a letter that's going to the chief?
So in other words, the motion would be for a letter to go to the chief to release the body-worn camera footage to us, the board, or to the public?
To the board. Well, we're, through the chair, sorry. The letter would be a request that we send to the chief of police to make that determination if it's released to the public.
Okay, that's fair. I'll reword it to, for the letter to go to the chief for the release of the body-worn camera footage.
Okay. Motion made. You want to amend that? So I need to we need to vote on the amendment now, right? Because
Ask your parliamentarian, don't look at me.
Until that original motion was stated by the chair, it belonged to Commissioner Moore. So since you had not stated the motion, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Moore was free to amend it or withdraw it, however he wanted to do.
Thank you. So motion made by.
So there's no amendment at this point. What you need to do at this point, Mr. Chairman, is state the motion as he has restated it with the conditions that he added.
Absolutely. Motion made by Commissioner Moore to send a letter to the chief asking to release the body cam footage of the Sherman Lee Butler incident to the public. Motion made by Commissioner Moore. Any second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or I should have said any discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Doing surgery up here.
Yes, you are.
So let's go to, we getting to report from the acting board secretary.
Mr. Chair, I have no report, but I go straight to announcement.
Yes.
The next BOPC meeting will be Thursday, August 22nd, 3 p.m. here at Detroit Public Safety Headquarters. The next BOPC community meeting will be Thursday, September the 12th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. with the 4th Precinct hosting at Kennedy Recreation Center. That address is 2260 South 4th Street, 48217. And Mr. Chair, the monthly committee meeting scheduled for August 2024. Policy committee meeting will be meeting Tuesday, August 20, 2024 at 5 p.m. And those will take place here at Detroit Public Safety Headquarters and also can be viewed on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Thank you. New Business Budget Committee Chair, Commissioner DeWalsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On behalf of the Board of Police Commissioners Budget Committee, I'd like to present the key updates from the committee meeting that was held yesterday, August 14th. Commissioners in attendance were Commissioner Darrell Woods, Commissioner Jesus Hernandez, and myself. The Budget Committee discussed an important matter regarding pay discrepancies and disparities for 4 employees within our organization. This was also presented at the full board meeting 2 weeks ago. Upon careful review and analysis, the Budget Committee has identified opportunities to reconcile pay for the following positions: 1 administrative assistant, 1 supervising investigator, 1 OCI investigator, and 1 acting secretary to the board. The Budget Committee would like to recommend the following pay adjustments, which will bring parity to the BOPC staff and provide back pay to employees that have stepped up into a higher band of title and responsibility for the sake of the BOPC. These recommendations are being brought to the full board for consideration. Number one, a 931440 administrative assistant position of the Board of Police Commissioners. On behalf of the Budget Committee, I would like to recommend closing the pay gap in our administrative assistant employees' compensation, bringing this employee's salary up to $57,550. Number two, supervising investigator of the Board of Police Commissioners. On behalf of the Budget Committee, I would like to recommend bringing our supervising investigator salary up to $82,450. Additionally, it is the Budget Committee's recommendation to provide this employee the prorated amount of $40,505 in back pay for the 3+ years this individual is working out of class as a supervising investigator. This sum reconciles disparities between standard levels of out-of-class pay OCI peers have received for the same title and the levels of compensation this employee has received over these years. Number three, 932503 investigator of the Board of Police Commissioners. On behalf of the Budget Committee, I would like to recommend bringing our investigator's salary up to $54,500. Additionally, it is the Budget Committee's recommendation to provide this employee the prorated amount of $550 in back pay for the 15 months this individual is being paid below the standard union-guided salary. This sum reconciles disparities between what this employee is currently making with more than a year of experience and what new hires are making today. And then number four, standing secretary of the Board of Police Commissioners. On behalf of the Budget Committee, I would like to recommend providing the prorated amount of $34,318 in out-of-class pay for the 8 months our standing secretary has stepped up into this role and responsibility for the board. For all of these recommendations, there is a favorability in the current fiscal year budget to execute these pay reconciliations. Thank you for your consideration. The next Budget Committee meeting will be determined at a later date. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
To the chair.
Yes.
When it comes to the secretary position and the acting secretary position, has the city HR weighed in on this matter to see is the raise is proper?
Mr. Freeze, could you come up? Yep. Yeah, that was discussed in the meeting, but he can answer that.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Good afternoon. The City of HR, as well as the Compensation Division, have reviewed these recommendations, and they have not raised any flags. They did call out a similar call out to the board the last time this was presented, that several of these recommendations originally were guided that they should be line paid all at the same time. Sentiment from the board is that we need to acknowledge and respect tenure and seniority. It has since been amended to make sure that the ladder of seniority is acknowledged. That was the one call out from HR. No other red flags were raised by HR.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of that? Or can you provide a hard copy of that?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Could we allow the chairwoman of the Budget Committee to provide the recommendation that came out of committee?
Yeah, absolutely.
The recommendation.
To adopt the report.
Yeah.
Yes. Make a motion? Is that what you're asking? Okay. I move that we adopt.
Well, by recommendation of the
By recommendation of the.
Budget Committee.
Budget Committee to the full
Mr.
board.
Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, the motions were made by the committee, and she said recommendations, but she really is making a motion by the Budget Committee.
Yeah.
And therefore, the board does not need to make a motion.
Right.
You can divide, she made 4 motions. The board has the authority to take them seriatim, which means one by one, or you could adopt all 4, or same thing that we did with the recommendations for promotion. You can take all 4 motions made by the committee. The committee can bring the motion, as long as it's a committee of more than one person.
Right.
So she can bring the motion, and then all the board has to do is to vote it up or down.
Yes, yeah, by recommendation of the Budget Committee, I entertain a motion to accept the Budget Committee report.
Through the chair, can I call for a division on each one of these line items?
Okay,
They can be taken seriatim, Mr. Chair. You can take them one by one.
okay, all right.
Okay, so you want me to read each one individually again,
Read the title.
just the title?
And if the chair of that committee, instead of saying recommendation, could say, by order of the Budget Committee, I move, it would still be the Budget Committee's motion. So, Mr. Chairman, what you would say when you carry that motion is, it is moved by the Budget Committee.
Okay,
But the language needs to be, if you excuse me, Madam Chair, by order of the Budget Committee, I move the following recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. Okay, by order of the Budget Committee, I move that the first item, the pay gap in our administrative assistant employees' compensation, bringing this employee's salary up to $57,550.
Do we need a second?
any discussion?
No second is required because it's a motion by a committee.
Okay,
Discussion, if I could.
Yes.
Through the chair, I'll just remind my colleagues that a few weeks ago, this body actually adopted a motion to send it to Budget Committee so that we had the proper amount of time to do our due diligence, which Mr. Freeze has doubled down and stated just moments ago. So I would ask each of you to consider that in the way that you vote for these motions. We've had this information for quite some time, and it's important for us to move forward with these.
absolutely. So you're making a motion to,
Further discussion.
any further discussion? We don't need a motion. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, it's important that you state the motion because that's what puts it in front of the board.
I'm looking for
Thank
my
you.
memo. Where's my memo? Thank you.
All the way at the back,
All right, thank you.
Through the chair.
Excuse me. Further discussion, go ahead, discuss.
Through the chair, before we approve any of this today, I urge this body to do a evaluation, to do evaluation. I mean, to prove salaries increases without evaluation of performance, I think it's preposterous at this time. Not to say that the employee is not a good employee, not to say that they are a bad employee, not saying neither or, but I think it is very important that we do evaluations of performance before we start negotiating salaries or approving salaries or pay raises at this time.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Yes.
those evaluations have been conducted, and I don't know if Mr. Freeze would like to elaborate?
Through the chair, the ask of Commissioner Burton was also called out by the commissioners that sit on the Budget Committee. In performance is important to acknowledge and to be a part of these decisions. The performance has been garnered from that of Chief Warfield and the Standing Secretary, Robert Brown, and was contingent on this decision for the recommendation from the Budget Committee, and it is with that performance and the acknowledgement of that performance that this recommendation is being made.
Through the chair, one question is, when was the evaluation conducted? Have commissioners received anything in writing about the evaluation, and who was all present for that? And so what type of time frame were we talking about?
But it's up to the supervisors to do the evaluations. They are their immediate supervisors.
Yeah, but the staff works for the full board.
Absolutely.
Move to the question.
I'm asking for what was the time frame? When was it
Second to
conducted?
call the question.
Question is moved. Yes, what is your pleasure?
Move to the question, we go right to the vote.
Yeah, all in favor to adopting the Budget Committee report and us adopting the compensation for the administrative assistant or 9.
Point of order, I just want to make sure we're in order. Madam Parliamentarian, I moved to the question, it was seconded. Does that require a vote?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, so we got to vote on the question.
All in favor of moving to the question, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. And now by recommendation of the Budget Committee on issue 1-931-440, Administrative Assistant Board to the Assistant Board of Police Commissioners to adopt the Budget Committee report on issue 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried.
Abstain.
You abstain? One abstention. Okay. Number 2.
Okay, Number 2, by order of the Budget Committee, and this is regarding the supervising investigator of the Board of Police Commissioners. By order of the Budget Committee, I would like to move that we bring the supervising investigator salary up to $82,450. In addition, recommend that we provide move that we provide the employee the prorated amount of $40,505 in back pay for the 3+ years this individual has been working out of class as the supervising investigator.
Any comments? No comments. By recommendation of the Budget Committee, I entertain a motion to adopt.
No,
That's the motion.
the motion's made by the Budget Committee, Mr. Chair. You just need to state it.
Okay, if there's no objections, okay, there being no objection, we move forward to number 3.
Number 3, 93-2503, the investigator position of the Board of Police Commissioners. By order of the Budget Committee, I move to bringing our investigator's salary up to $54,500 and move that we provide the employee the prorated amount of $550 in back pay for the 15 months this individual was being paid below the standard union guided salary.
By recommendation of the Budget Committee, I entertain a motion, and I entertain a motion that
A motion has been made.
a motion has been made to adopt item 3, 932-503, investigator of the Board of Police Commissioner. If there's
Through the chair.
any discussion? Yeah.
You know, question for the chief investigator: how many cases have they closed year to date? How many cases they have that's in working pending at this time? And
Well, this, if this talking about this particular individual, we would not want to put there. That would be against the law for us to do that.
I think, Chair.
Yes, sir.
When we talking about pay raises and increases, things of that nature, and we talking about other individuals that's working out of the class, evaluations, performance is very important. We also, as well as we need to know how many cases those investigators are working on, how many closed, how many are still pending, where we are along with the backlog of cases. You have so many cases that was confiscated not long ago by the city inspector general. And so
that's not germane to this particular issue.
But still, when we
the evaluation was done.
But Mr. Chairperson, when we're talking about giving someone a pay raise or whatever, we have not seen the evaluation. We have not read the evaluation. We don't know when the evaluation was conducted. Yeah. We don't even know, for these investigators, how many cases these individuals have received year to date, how many was closed by this individual year to date.
Call the question.
Second.
Question is
and
called.
It's very important to know that before we move forward.
Hold on the question.
All in favor of moving forward with the question, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. So by recommendation of the Budget Committee, issued item 3, 932-503, Investigative Board of Police Commissioner is adopted if there being no objections. There being no objections, we're going to go to item 4.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Standing Secretary of the Board of Police Commissioners, by order of the Budget Committee, I would like to move to provide the prorated amount of $34,318 in out-of-class pay for the 8 months our Standing Secretary has stepped up into this role and responsibility for the board.
Mr. Chair, I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why is it called standing secretary as opposed to acting secretary?
The acting secretary.
Yeah. Ms.
But it's stated in
Yes.
writing standing secretary. That's the first I've heard of the title standing secretary.
Through the chair. I believe that the standing and acting, I have had the impression that both of these are synonymous. If this is a typo, and it should be acting, then you have my apologies.
I just never heard the term before, so if it's okay, thank you.
To the chair, our
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, you need to state that motion before you have debate.
Okay.
Right? Until you state the motion, it is not in front of the board to be discussed.
Okay, so thank you. Item 4, Standing Secretary, Board of Police Commissioners, Police Commissioners is recommended for adoption. Is further discussion?
To the chair.
Let's try to, bring this to a closure so we can finalize our meeting.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Our understanding as a board was that the acting secretary position was not a temporary position. It was not. It was more acting. It wasn't. It was. It wasn't. Didn't have anything to do with change of. And it come to like salary or pay raise or anything of that nature. It was more someone, and so that's why it's very important to know, have this gone before CDHR to see if this raise is proper. Not to say that the employee was a bad employee or a good employee, but our understanding as a body, as a voting body, that this wasn't like. This position, acting secretary, was just something that was just given to at the time, but it didn't have anything to do with
Okay.
I mean, they were not the secretary to the board. And so therefore, it didn't have anything to do
Through the
with
chair, I think that it's important that we, remember those.
It was not an interim position.
I think I have the floor. Point of order. I think that it's important for us. Point of order. I have the floor.
Point of information. I was
Point of
still
order,
talking.
Commissioner
I didn't
Burton.
come to a close.
Point of order, Commissioner
So
Burton.
for point of information.
Point of order, Commissioner Burton. I have the floor.
Point of order. I was still speaking, and you cut me off.
I was recognized by the chair.
So for point of information, it's very important that we have that information.
Thank you. Point of order. Just for the matter of context, I was the chair at the time of the transition from our secretary who resigned, and I asked Mr. Brown. I think it's important to know that he unwillingly accepted it. I mean, he didn't want to do it, but he said he would, and that was for 6 weeks. It was my intent that he would only have to do that job for 6 weeks. It's been 8 months. Right. And I think that the language that is being used about raises and things of that nature is a bit misleading, because in this case, this is for work that has already been done, that again, was outside of his normal classification. And even for the ones that we've already voted on, it's to bring them up to what we're bringing new people in on. And so again, I think that there's some need for clarity in that regard. So again, I asked him to do it for 6 weeks. It's been 8 months, and so I think he's more than earned to be back paid.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Thank you. Through the chair, again, I'll just, maybe for the 10th time, remind my colleagues and assure the public in that same sentence that the Budget Committee has highly trained and educated and qualified commissioners on the Budget Committee.
Yes.
And also on personnel and training. And so we've done our due diligence on more than one occasion, and I just want to reassure everyone that we have checked with every stakeholder possible to ensure we're in full compliance and within budget.
Thank you. So By recommendation of the Budget Committee, if there's no objections, we adopt the Standing Secretary, Board of Police Commissioner pay adjustment, or yeah, I would say the pay adjustment, if there being no objections.
Mr. Chairman, no objection, but I do have a question before you go to item B of the new business for the deputy chief, if that's okay.
Yes, sir. So,
Have a new business item, too.
okay. All right, so if there be no objection, it is adopted. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Excuse me. All right, you're done?
I am.
All right, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Wash. Commissioner Moore.
Deputy Chief, have you heard any complaints about officers running up on people in gas stations, looking for CPLs or CCWs, and they're using their pre-contacts of just being at the gas station, they're just running up on folks? Have you heard anything like that?
Through the chair, no, sir, I have not heard any complaints about that. But as you know, our department is committed to policing constitutionally. So if there's any specific complaints that you have, we'd be happy to address it.
I've just been hearing it off and on for a minute, and I just wonder if it had risen to your level yet. And I don't know if OCI has heard of that, and I hear affirmative yes. So that is a concern that, I would like the department to look into. People pumping gas, they're just there to pump gas, but it just seems like folks are being targeted at gas stations for guns. So, thank you.
Deputy Chief, I've heard the same concern.
Go ahead.
That you're just minding your own business, either in a gas station buying potato chips or whatever, and the officers will approach you and say, are you carrying a gun? Are you carrying a gun? That sort of in a very aggressive tone. So it is a problem. And it happens only to young black males. So it's a real problem, and it's one that needs to be addressed. Because it's floating, it's happening as we're speaking. So if you could remind the officers in your day talks, or whatever you call them in the morning, when you meet with them, that is a violation of policy, a violation of procedure, and that they can be obviously held accountable.
I move that we go
behavior.
into closed session.
Wait a minute, before we do that, I have a motion for new business. We're in no business. New business?
Yeah, we still under new business.
That's what I wanna do.
We on part B of the new business. So I entertain a motion to go into closed session.
It's only 1 minute.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley and second by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. All right, we're going into closed session. This
Recording stopped.
to be a 3-minute or 4-minute recess.
All we have to do is.
This meeting is called back to order at 5:51. We back in open session. Call the roll.
Chairperson Woods.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Present.
Commissioner Burton.
Present.
Commissioner Presley.
Here.
Commissioner Bernard.
Present.
Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Commissioner DeWalsh.
Present.
Commissioner Bell.
Okay. Introduction of BOPCs.
Oh, you gotta go right.
We don't need
Yeah, we good? All right. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to adopt the department's request for the board to consider administrative leave without pay but with medical benefits for police officer Albert Graham, badge 2859, assigned to the Detroit Detention Center.
Motion made by Commissioner Hernandez. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Bell. Any discussion? And please understand that we have limited comments on this, or be careful with your comments in this. No discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
I'm confused. So, a point of information. So, and this is maybe trauma from when I was chair. Don't some of these need the 2/3?
You need two-thirds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roll call.
So this one requires a 2/3.
Yeah,
Correct? Okay, so roll call.
Roll call vote. Help me out, Mr. Secretary.
Okay. Chairperson Woods.
I would make me last.
Vice Chairperson Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Burton, come back, Commissioner Presley,
No.
Commissioner Bernard,
Absolutely not.
Commissioner Moore, Commissioner DeWalsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Bell, Commissioner Burton,
Abstain.
Commissioner Woods.
I would say no, because we don't have the,
But you say no.
right, no. Yes, no.
Mr. Chair, there was 5 no votes and 4 yes votes.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
motion to adjourn.
No, there's one more.
Mr. Chairman, you need to say the motion failed.
The motion has failed.
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hernandez.
I had an item under new business.
Hold on. And second by Commissioner Presley. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, no discussion?
Chairman, I asked for this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there are 6 things that can be done even when the motion to adjourn has been made. Commissioner Bernard has the right to identify what she wants to do. If it's not within the confines of those 6 things, I will advise the chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I
That's
had
6 things.
6 things. No, I have one thing.
One thing, okay.
That we talked about last week. I want to make the motion simply that the board be authorized the issuance of a subpoena to, whether we issue it or not, I don't know that it's going to be necessary. I'm not suggesting it may or may not be, but that we be authorized to issue a subpoena to get the file of Kenesha Coleman, case number 201112. The Michigan State Police made findings indicating that a case that had been classified as a suicide was not a suicide.
No. Hold
Mr. Chairman,
Let me finish my
she's
motion.
making a motion. It has to be seconded before she can go into debate.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me finish my motion.
Okay.
Please. Right. I'm not trying to debate it right now. In order to get the Michigan State Police findings about this young woman, a Detroit resident, this was a Detroit police investigation, and for 2 years, she has been unable to collect life insurance and take care of business concerning her mother because she,
Excuse me, it's out of order.
That's not a motion, that's debate.
Yes,
okay, the motion is to authorize, as I said, the issuance of a subpoena to get the file, to get that case file from the department.
Second.
motion made by Commissioner Bernard to authorize for a subpoena for the state police report.
Detroit Police,
Was it state police report or
both, the file.
the file?
Case number 21112.
Okay, case number 2112. And the second is second by Commissioner Burton. Discussion.
Discussion, for myself, I don't have enough information around our ability to do that in this case or not, or just information on the case itself. And so I'll plan to vote accordingly.
Yes, sir.
And again, through the chair, sharing the sentiments of Commissioner Hernandez, I feel like I have a learning curve. Have we asked for it?
Yes, excuse me. The Michigan, I've been told by the Michigan State Police that they can FOIA the report. I talked to higher ranks, and that's why I pulled Lieutenant Shaw. He has given us the way that we get that report from the state police, and Secretary Brown is working on getting that report.
Just for clarity, for the family or for the board?
For the board, and we will release it. We had the ability to release it.
So I didn't
for
know.
the public, and also there's been a request being made for the state police to come and talk about that particular case to the Board of Police Commission, because it's a lot of inaccurate information that is being spoken of, and I will leave it like that, because I'm not the state police and I'm not DPD. We don't do criminal investigations to make any conclusions in here, and I warn commissioners to never do that, to state something that we don't have no facts, because we don't want to open ourselves up for any liability, and so that you have to be very careful when you speak in that manner. Commissioner Hernandez.
I have a
Thank you,
comment.
Excuse me.
Mr. Chairman. I would just ask, maybe it's a rhetorical question, maybe not, if this motion might be too premature based on everything that you just mentioned that's going on behind the scene. And added on top of that, again, the lack of information that some commissioners on this board have, or don't have, rather.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is not premature. For 2 years, this family has been requesting this information from their police department, which is us, which initially made the determination that this young woman had committed suicide.
Don't speak on it. Don't speak on what's what, again, because you do not know.
Mr.
Excuse
Chairman,
me.
I was speaking.
Excuse me.
I don't care. You don't have a right to interrupt me.
Okay. You do not know what you're talking about in this regard. And you're absolutely out of order to say what some,
Chairman,
excuse me.
You are out of order. You don't tell me I'm out of order.
You are out of order to state what's in a report that you have not read. And so that is wrong.
We state
and then it's
all the time that we have not read.
No, it's irresponsible.
It is not. Don't call me irresponsible.
I say it is. I'm not saying you. I'm saying it is irresponsible.
Mr. Brown can speak.
Point of order. Commissioner Bernard, the chair runs the meeting.
Yes,
the chair runs the meeting.
He may run the meeting, but he doesn't insult me.
I'm not. I apologize if you feel that way, but I'm trying to give you some fair warning about something that can come your way legally by stating something that is not right. It's absolutely not right. And so, and I'll leave it as that.
Let Mr. Brown respond. Yeah. He's aware of this. He'll tell you what happened.
Me and Mr. Brown have been working together vigorously about this.
That's why I want.
And absolutely, and I appreciate your passion, your diligence on this. But again, we're not going to forecast who we talk to and all that type of stuff. But I guarantee that this report will be produced, and we're not going to play games with the community about this particular matter, because it's a very sensitive matter. Yeah.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Being on this board and observing public comments with families, pouring out in tears and waking up in pain, coming to this board. It's hard for a lot of Detroiters. It's really hard because they don't know who can they go to. They don't know if they come to the board about their issues. They come to the department about their issues, their concerns. But we as a board, we have our fiduciary responsibilities as well when it comes to oversight. And if it's something that we don't know, we can always request it, and we can also FOIA information.
Yeah.
And I just like for the board to operate within our scope of fiduciary responsibility.
Yes, sir. I must agree with you 100%.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point one thing out,
yes,
if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
Number one, we don't FOIA information. The charter says that the Board of Police Commissioners can subpoena any information that they want. We have the ability, the only commission in the city that has the ability to subpoena, other than the city council, to subpoena information. So we have the ability to subpoena any information we want. This motion was simply to authorize the issue, not to issue the subpoena, but to authorize our ability to do that, which we have that ability.
Well, the charter authorizes.
Right, we have the
so we don't
ability
need
to-
authorization.
Right, that's
so,
correct.
So the charter authorizes.
But if we don't
already.
get it, then we subpoena it. If we
Absolutely.
requested.
Okay.
Can we call for the vote?
Yes.
Call for the vote.
And this is the vote on the subpoena, right?
Yes.
For those who are in favor to authorizing the subpoena, say yes.
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 For those who are opposed, say no. Okay. It appears that the ayes have it. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Move for adjournment.
Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley, second by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The motion is carried.